The helicopter appears to have come down in an area which is wild, very few roads, perhaps something like the Highlands of Scotland, but with forest, gorges, ravines, and even fewer roads. So it'll take some time for definite information to come through. It's not clear whether anybody's been hurt, whether anybody's been killed. There's absolutely no information as to what the cause of the accident is. So really everybody is just waiting.
What can you tell us about President Raisi and the status he carries, the weight he carries in the Islamic Republic of Iran?
He is the elected president in 2021. The president is best thought of as the chief executive of the government of the country, the prime minister, not unlike the prime minister of France. The equivalent of the president of France in Iran is, of course, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, who sets the main lines of government policy, particularly in foreign and strategic affairs and in command of the armed forces. And Ayatollah Khamenei receives reports about domestic affairs from the president and is the strongest influence on what happens in the country. President Raisi is a loyal, long-time servant of the judiciary of Iran. He's an able man. He's lacking in charisma, but he is a competent, without being outstanding, chief executive who represents the right wing, the conservative tendency within the Islamic Republic.
And as such, would have authorized the crackdown on pro-democracy movements, the young women, the young men, the students who were trying to get rid of the hijab and to liberalize the social mores of that country. So perhaps not as popular as his predecessor, Hassan Rouhani.
Hassan Rouhani sought to reform the system, sought to soften its edges, but was defeated by the conservative circles, among whom was to be found now President Raisi. So yes, no president of Iran that I can recall has ever been truly popular because so many people are disaffected from the system and want to see a major change. The security forces of the country report rather more to the supreme leader than they do to President Raisi, but he would certainly have been one of those calling for resistance to the Islamic Republic and the more extreme forms of dissent to be clamped down on.
And Iran presents itself as a regional power, taking on the Israelis, taking on the Saudis in previous years, taking on the Americans, and all powerful to its own domestic audience. But if the worst has happened, and we don't know yet, then this will really be a shock to the system.
Yes and no. I mean, think about the death of a prime minister of France. France and Iran are major countries with substantial institutional existences, and there are many other figures that could step into the breach if President Raisi were to be removed from the scene. And the continuity of the Islamic Republic is represented much more by the supreme leader and the apparatus reporting to him, including the security forces and the military, than it is represented by the president. There are 14 or 15 vice presidents in charge of major sectors of Iranian life. The supreme leader, with the agreement of the other centers of power, like the parliament and the judiciary, would appoint someone to step in as leader of the government of the Islamic Republic. there would be a period of mourning, but most of Iranian life would carry on regardless.
And when it comes to daily Iranian life, how would you characterize it now that the crackdown that was imposed after those pro-democracy and pro-freedom movements of late 2022 have been quashed? Where are people at the moment?
There's a great deal of sullen resentment, of smothered discontent. There's nothing new in that. There is still a very substantial and effective minority that supports the Iranian system. There's also a large number of people who depend on the system for their livelihoods, for their children's futures, and who acquiesce in the absence of any clear route available to them or any alternative leadership to a better future. So there is no imminent threat. You can never exclude something boiling up rapidly as a result of some unforeseen and unforeseeable event. So you never say never about the idea of counter-revolution in Iran, but there's nothing apparent on the surface to disturb the security of the regime at the moment.
Sir Richard Dalton, the UK's ambassador to Iran between 2002 and 2006, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Times Radio. And if there's any update on that story during this program, we will, of course, bring it to you.
تقریبا نزدیک 3 سال باشه حتما این زمان کاهش پیدا میکنه و در یک زمان بسیار محدودتری انشالله این کار به انجام میرسه تا مردم بتونن از در واقع مواهبش استفاده کنن. راهبردی برای ما و برای آذربایجان و برای منطقه هم میتونه ارتباط پیدا کردیم. الحمدلله در 6 جبهه کاری داره کار انجام میگیره. هم
Allahın adı ilə Cənab Prezident çox xoşbəxtəm. Böyük xoşbəxtlik ondan ibarətdir ki, bu görüş bir yerdə baş tutur. Hadisədir ki, iki xalq, iki dövlət arasında da çox mühüm böyük layihələr həyata keçirilə bilər. Ola bilsin ki, bəziləri bizim bu görüş...
Hörmətli Cənab Prezident, mən hesab edirəm ki, bugünkü təbii ki, belə gözəl layihə xalqlarımızın rifahını bölgəmizdə sabitliyin önemli şərtidir.
Ola bilsin ki, bəziləri bizim bu görüşlərimizi və birgə uğurlarımızı bəyənməsinlər. Bunlar bizim üçün əhəmiyyət kəsb